and the second, which is going to look to the design, the complex design of 2014. We've introduced the key resources, ad hoc resources to bring to Maranello know-how that we have to have and keep a window on the world, but we've also used Maranello people, and in fact who have merited being pushed forward, and we hope that we will be able to extend to them our thanks. As you can see, this car is an evolution from last year's car. This because the regulations have not changed, and therefore from this point of view, you can see from the shapes, the car that we are presenting today certainly is the first step towards a car that certainly will be different, slightly different when we come to the first race in Australia. The evolution that we have developed is to maximize the high performance area of the car. And from this point of view, the coming tests, which will start next week, in fact, in Jerez, we will, at these tests, immediately be there, not trying to get performance immediately, but to check out the things that we have defined in the simulator and that we have prepared in our technical offices. As you know, the choice to develop this car in a different wind tunnel to the Maranello wind tunnel, and the fact that we have decided to invest in a new structure for the Formula One in Maranello, well, all these two things means that our company is very much attentive to the short-term performance requirements, but also we have a long view on the future investments that are necessary to remain at the pinnacle of the Formula One world. And from this point of view, a few weeks ago we started the work site that will allow all the sporting team and personnel to have a new headquarters. This will be ready in 2 years. And this is what we saw in that first video at the very beginning of the presentation. But anyway, coming back to now, the key objective that we must have is that of immediately delivering a competitive car to our drivers. Unfortunately, in recent years, we have, during the winter, unfortunately not been able to get to the beginning of the season right on the top of what we were doing, unlike other competitors. So we have tried to look at our work organization to improve on this and to be much more effective, especially in the preparation of these coming weeks. So our objective in this sense is to give our drivers a car which will allow them to compete right from Australia. As you can see, this is an evolution, and certainly as the other competitors will do, we will be furthering this development in the tests. So over and above the question of the team, and here I'd like to talk about the team, I'd like to call upon Felipe to come up. Felipe, who will be a driver in the season that saw him really a protagonist in the second half of the season last year. And I'd like to call upon Fernando. And I have to say, we've said so many things and talked about so many things in the last season, his incredible season. So our objective as a team is to give them, as I say, a car that can really allow them to shine through and to show the real characteristics that they have. Now, Felipe and Fernando, there are already people that are asking many questions, so we'll ask you a couple of questions. Even in the US, the questions are coming through. For Felipe, yesterday, somebody said, oh, okay, our young veteran. In fact, this is the 8th season with Ferrari. And the 8th presentation, I mean, do you get used to it? Does it become routine, or is it always an emotional moment? Well, I feel, in fact, that even if I've been here for many years as an official driver, even before, in fact, I was the first young driver for example, that Ferrari believed in right from the beginning when I still wasn't in Formula One. So it gives me great pleasure to be here for the 8th championship with Ferrari. Every presentation, in fact, gives you a new feeling, a new sensation. And I'm very happy with this car, looking at it. I think that we have thought of many things, many important things here. And I hope that my feelings are the right ones and that we'll be able to have many victories and bring 2 titles at the end of the championship. This is what we're thinking about. This is what we're concentrating on. Thank you, Felipe. Fernando. Stefano was saying before that the car is an evolution because the regulations haven't really changed. A very competitive season, that of last year. How do you expect this year? Is it going to be even more keen, more aggressive? Hi, everybody. No, I think it'll be very difficult to repeat what we saw last year with 7 winners in the first 7 races. I think that it really was a one-off with the new rules and the Formula One, which is somewhat different. Now, with things a bit more stabilized, we saw at the end of the season, in fact, the top teams emerged, the teams that emerged and which have won in the last few years. They came through. And so I think it would be highly unlikely that we'll have 7 races, 7 winners. I think there'll be 2 or 3 teams, in other words, that will practically win all the races. And the objective, of course, is that we've got to be one of them teams. Now, thank you. Another question before we go on. Stefano said, in fact, we saw Felipe at the end of the season really coming forward. And I'd like to ask you, are you all geared up for the tests that are going to start next week? Yes, I'm ready. I'm really focused. I've been training every day recently to prepare the test sessions and the shakedown sessions that we're going to have in the week in Jerez. The second part of the championship last year was an evolution, an improvement, and a growth. And also, I increased my concentration. And for me, this is just the beginning of 2013. Of course, I hope to continue like this, strong, focused, in a championship in which everybody starts with 0 points. So we're going to try and get as many points as possible. Be really strong and come through in the competition. Be competitive from the beginning to the end, not from halfway through onwards. So this is something that I'm really focused on achieving. Thank you, Felipe. Fernando. With regard to tests, until Barcelona, you're not going to touch the F138. Can you resist not touching it, not touching the car? No, I'll follow the tests with great interest, and all the information that comes back from Jerez, of course, I'll be looking at. And in these last few weeks, and in the next few weeks, I'll certainly be concentrating on preparing the championship. We were very busy in December, and in the first part of January, up to a week ago, in fact, we were very much involved with this. So I think it's right to step back and prepare a bit so that I'm 100% from Australia right through to Brazil. And then also we're very lucky in this team to have a real good entente amongst us. We trust each other implicitly, and we have a team, an extended team, and Pedro, Felipe, well, they're the same because we're just one person. Thank you. Congratulations and thank you. Thank you, Nando. And talking about the team, I'd like to thank you. Would you like to take your seats, please? And I ask you to put your hands together for the whole team of Ferrari. Congratulations, and I wish you all the best. Okay. In the last few days, can I say something? The film went off immediately, but this is the great thing about being live. But in the last few days, we had and marked the 10th anniversary of the death of somebody who is very, very important to us, Gianni Agnelli, and we have developed a video in memory of him. Good morning everybody. Let me say that seeing these images and remembering when Gianni Agnelli, Avvocato Agnelli, presented with us, with Michael Schumacher and the team of that time, presented the car. In fact, I got goosebumps because they're extraordinary memories, as indeed it gave me great pleasure to see Avvocato Agnelli with Enzo Ferrari as one of the first images we saw, because roles and different moments were brought together in this. Ferrari is now present in 60 countries of the world. We have a strong Ferrari looking forward. If we have this today, we have to thank both of them, the founder, first of all, and Avvocato Agnelli, who was close to us, especially in the difficult times, especially in the times when we had to claw back at the beginning of the 1990s, for example, when we had to work so very hard, both with regard to the road cars, but also our racing cars. So I really wanted also to underline this and see that the GA, the 2003, the car that won the drivers and also the constructors championship. I hope it's a good omen for the F138 today. Now, every time we have a presentation day like this, there's a mix of hope, there's a great deal of emotion as well, but there's also the knowledge and the awareness that inside, above, around, and behind this car, we have people who have worked very hard and a great deal. And I'd like to thank them because they have worked at all levels. Because as Domenicali himself said, on the one hand, we had to maintain and improve certain key points, the reliability, our swiftness at the pit stops, and also to maintain the team strategy, which was excellent this year. But on the other hand, we also had to look at each detail of the last season that didn't work so well. We had to look at them one by one, race by race, detail by detail. And this is what I asked everybody to put a particular effort in. And I'd like to thank them because they really did work hard in every sector of the sporting management team. So behind this car, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of skill as well. And there are people who really give their all for this car. Now, in fact, inside the car, we also have so many suppliers, excellent companies. A company of excellence like Ferrari, of course, has to work with companies of excellence. And it's thanks to the support of these companies of excellence that we can hope to have a really competitive car. And above this, we have partners, we have collaborators throughout the world. And I'd like to underline the fact that this goes along with Ferrari as a worldwide company, present in 60 50 countries of the world. We have opened up the window to universities, research centers, partners throughout the world who are all partners of excellence. And that's why, in fact, we wanted to once again have the Italian flag on the car, because the strength of this company is certainly to have our windows open on the world. And as I say, today Ferrari exports more than 95% of its products throughout the world. And as I say, we have partners from Russia, from Spain, from America, and for the first time also from a great country that is becoming for us the second most important world market for us, that is China. But we are nonetheless also proud of our roots, of our link with the communities, our link with Maranello, Modena, Emilia, and Italy, because Ferrara is a great, great part of the passion, of the skill, and of the excellence that our country has, a country of which we go proud. And then there's also hope. We come from a year in which we had, and we have to say this out loud, we had a driver who had a fantastic season, and in very many moments he had to make up for a car that wasn't excessively competitive, and in other moments getting out of the car everything that he could, winning performance from the car. And I think we have to applaud Fernando for the extraordinary season that he had, and the extraordinary season he had last year, but especially we have to applaud him for an even more extraordinary season that he's going to have this year in 2013. And all the very best. And Felipe, I remember Felipe when he was Todd's driver, and Todd said, and could say, "Where are you going?" And he would say, "No, Filippo, just drive." I remember, in fact, when he took the car to go in here to Madonna del Campiglio, and Todd, who's had his feet on the ground, in fact remembered Felipe as his driver. And in fact, he's been with us for 8 seasons, and I expect great things of him this season as well. Coming this morning from Bologna with a terrible fog, I remember all the many years, the many presentations that we've had when I was a young sports director, supported by Enzo Ferrari and Piero. In those years, Piero got very mature in the meantime, but he's still very, very attentive to every detail. And I remember 1992, in fact, there was the same fog that there was today. Also in 97, there was the same fog when we presented the first wind tunnel. Perhaps you'll remember it. And 97 was a very important year for me, because it was the first year in which Ferrari, from 1997 to today, with the exception of 2 years, has won or lost the competition and the championship at the very last races. And we have also grown as the season goes on. And this fog, which is, if you like, a little bit our tradition and the way that we live in Emilia, hopefully this fog, as I say, will bring us good luck. I wrote a sentence which you may have seen before, and I think it's fundamental for us and also for our country, and that is we mustn't look at what happened before, but look forward. This is a sentence of Steve Jobs. In other words, innovation, ability to work together, great skill and competence of the people that we work with, and also the best partners, but especially looking ahead. Last season gave us light, gave us shadow. Ferrari was a protagonist, and in the fight right to the last race, as it was in 2010 and so many other years. Now, we of course are very glad to be protagonists and be part of it, but we want to win this year. This is the commitment that we make. There's a little small detail. We don't in fact go with people who compete with people who are not worth very much. We are competing with the very top. Now, the Formula One is very, very important for us. It's important for the group that we belong to, Fiat, both in terms of innovation and technology and the transfer of innovation and technology. So I'd like to greet John Elkann, and I've seen him in many photos a few years ago. He was even thinner than he is today. I saw pictures with him when he came with his grandfather to watch the racing. And John has always had a passion for the Ferrari, even when he was a young boy at university, and he was the director of the engineering's faculty journal and newspaper at the Turin University. And I remember for the journal he came to give me an interview, and he, in fact, I was struck, in fact, at the time how impassioned he was for Ferrari, something he'd inherited from his grandfather. And this reminds me of something very important today, and I'd like to say this also in the presence of Sergio Marchionne, who, of his many merits, is also a great tester of our cars in difficult situations, and he too is a great fan. He said to me, "Luca, I'm going to come to Maranello to the presentation," he said, when we met in Turin a couple of days ago, "and I want to reserve and book a new F12, but I want to see the new Formula One car." Now, Ferrari within the Fiat group has always had, right from the time of its founders, through Gianni Agnelli, through John Elkann, and through Sergio Marchionne, has always had, as I say, a great autonomy and independence, and ensures that the positioning of Ferrari on the market and the image that Ferrari has is very characteristic. Of course, each and every company within the group has a specific place. And at Grugliasco, for example, the other day, when the new phase of the Maserati was launched with the four-door Maserati, and they have an important collaboration with Ferrari for the motor parts, we see, in fact, how close the cooperation is, even if every unit and every company has its own specific positioning and own specific character. Now, let's close. Coming back to Formula One, we have to have regulations which allow us to be carried out on the track so that drivers can get used to the track. Simulators are all very well, and all other things are all very well, but we are racing to develop the technology of Ferrari so that we can transfer this to extraordinary cars that make R&D their core business. So we have to look ahead. We have to collaborate to have regulations which will allow us also to improve our skills, motor aspects, and other aspects, not just aerodynamics, because we build cars, we don't build satellites, we don't build supersonic planes either. And the other important point is that thanks to the work of engineer Felisa and all our other technical people, in the last few years we have made great use of the technology of Formula One cars for our cars, aerodynamics, electronics, new materials, everything that comes from the experience of Formula One helps to complete our road cars. And we have the presentation this year of our new engine. We have a different engine. This is the first hybrid Ferrari, and also we have the curves included, curves that we wanted in the Formula One in order to develop new experience and new technology. With this, I have concluded. Every year is an emotional moment for me. I look at this car. Is it good? Is it beautiful? Is it ugly? The important thing is that it goes well, that it has a good project development plan week after week, indeed day after day. And one very last thing. This morning, coming here, knowing that this is a very important day, meeting with so many partners, friends, cooperators, and the many men and women of Ferrari. In fact, all Ferrari people will be seeing the car today. As I say, coming in here today, I felt really privileged. Not just privileged because I work here, but looking at the images of the past, looking at and seeing Enzo Ferrari and Gianni Agnelli, looking at this fantastic company, I thank the Lord that I come here every day and I have ideas and I want to forge ahead. Thank you all for being as you are, for this marvelous atmosphere. Perhaps I'm getting old, but I also want to forge ahead, and I think this company gives you a thrust and gives you a drive that no other company, I think, can provide. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. So now we've come to the conclusion of this presentation, of this first presentation, the debut of the F138. Now we're going to continue with the typical activities, which will, in fact, take up some time, if you like, a photo call from home. Continue to watch us on Ferrari.com, because afterwards you'll have the live chats with chats with the president and with the drivers. And in fact, we just wanted to close with a video, the fantastic tifosi, the fans from around the world. So I'd like to thank you, I'd like to say goodbye, and let's see the video of our tifosi. And long live Ferrari.